Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of TNC Talks Nonprofit. I'm Scott.
I'm Mercedes. And today we have Hamilton Barton, who is the CEO of Pay It Forward SA.
Hello.
Welcome.
Glad to be here.
Glad to have you.
Absolutely.
Can't wait to hear your story. I know bits and pieces of it, but I don't know your whole story of how you became the CEO of Pay It Forward. But before we go into your story, why don't you tell us a little bit about the work that you guys do in our community?
So Pay It Forward is an organization that was founded in 2010 by a person who was in recovery and saw that people were choosing not to engage in the sober living community because they thought they couldn't afford it. So he came up with this concept for people coming out of substance use treatment. If he funded them, if he scholarshiped them into a community sober living home, would they choose to go?
Mm-hmm.
And they did. And it worked because they stayed.
That was the barrier.
Absolutely. It was a barrier. So that was the initial program of Pay It Forward. And then that was about the time that Haven for Hope was opening. Mm-hmm. And they needed a sober living option on campus because there was treatment there, but people were completing substance use treatment and then transitioning into just the member side of campus.
Right.
There was no accountability. There was no structure. There was no programming or anything like that. And so a lot of them, had to return to use. Right. So if there was a program there on campus where people could live and continue to access all of the available services that Haven had to offer, would that improve the success rate of those individuals?
And I'm guessing the answer is absolutely.
Absolutely it did. Absolutely it did. Okay. And so, in the past 16 years, both programs have evolved. We've gotten better. We fill gaps. We've done things, and we're still getting better. Right. We're still improving. But those are our two main programs. We have a scholarship program, and then we have 70.
So you also have a scholarship.
Absolutely.
Program. Okay.
Yeah. Well, scholarship about $120,000 this year.
Okay.
People.
And how many would?
About 250 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
a lot.
That's a good number.
Some people don't need, all of it. For people who are, we get lots of applications, right? We're very popular when we give away money.
Mm-hmm.
Very popular.
Yeah.
Right. Which is not bad.
Yeah.
Which is not bad. But we can't help everybody. So we have to really drill down and see who's going to make it without us and who's not going to make it without us.
Right.
Right. And so we really concentrate on those individuals. And it's pretty good. I mean, we have 76, 77% of the people that we fund are still in the house at 30 days, which means that they've achieved self-sufficiency. They've started paying their way.
Wow.
Right. So,
and you say the house, are these y'all's homes?
No, these are community homes. We partner with about 120 homes. Our biggest partner is Oxford House. It's a national network of sober living homes. They have about 4,000 homes across the country. Wow. It's crazy, right? Wow. They started with one in 1975 in Silver Springs, Maryland, and now they have 4,000. And they're big. They're really big. Then we have some other private operators. Some are bigger. We have our biggest private partner has about 20 homes.
In the community?
In the community, yeah, in San Antonio. So it's about 800 beds that we partner with here in the community. And you never know. They're homes in a normal neighborhood where people are living.
One of my questions.
People are living together as a group of unrelated people, as a family, and moving forward.
So do they usually stay there for a long,
They stay as long as they want, and it's reasonably affordable. Average is about $175 a week, and that's everything.
Yeah.
That's your rent, that's your electricity, that's your water, it's your trash, that's your cable, it's your internet. So yeah, right. So someone coming off the streets, out of treatment, out of incarceration, it's the lowest barrier entry into a safe, supportive, sober environment for people. DePaul University did a study in 2007. They followed 1,000 people that lived in Oxford House. And of the people that went to detox, went to treatment, and then stayed in Oxford House for between 12 and 18 months, 82% of them were sober in 5 years.
Wow.
Right.
82%.
82%.
So having that supportive network and
it's the magic.
Yeah.
It's the deal.
Yeah.
If you stay less than a year, chances aren't that great. Right. You haven't necessarily established that cycle of learning how to live in recovery without substances. Right. But you get into that 12 to 18 month
stretch.
Right. And then your chances are pretty good.
Wow.
Pretty good.
Do y'all do wraparound services in the homes, or does that covered.
We offer everybody that applies, whether we fund them or not, we send them a resource guide. Okay. What else do you need?
Yeah.
If they need, we can give them additional. We have what are called peers or recovery coaches. They can call us. They say, hey, I'm having a hard time finding a doctor. I'm having a hard time finding a recovery meeting in my area. I don't know how to get my driver's license or my social security card or my birth certificate. We will walk them through all of that. And sometimes if they can even make it to us, we will take them to go do those things. Just like we do for our residents on campus.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Cracks, right? We're trying to
So
narrow the cracks.
Yeah.
And y'all serve just men.
No,
Oh, you don't?
no, we have 46 men's beds and we have 30 women's beds, and we scholarship both men and women also.
Okay.
And the beds are on
At Haven.
the Haven campus.
Yeah.
Wow.
We have 10% of the North Campus. So they have about 700 beds and we have 76 of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Next time we're up at Haven, we're doing a workshop there. And
Yeah.
we would love to show you, because our dorm doesn't look anything like the rest of campus.
Okay.
Our residents are the only residents who are allowed to bring food in. We have kitchens. We've really created a home
Oh,
on the
wow.
Haven campus. We're the only place on the Haven campus that Haven doesn't clean. Our residents clean our own areas, right?
Yeah.
Our residents are out and they're working and they're engaging in the recovery community. Our guardrails are much stricter than the single mom who shows up to Haven because her rent went up $100, and that's how she found homelessness, right? She needs education. She needs she needs to get better employed. She needs just some other types of services than our people, right? Our people, we really have to kind of narrow the guardrails with them because for them to drink or use often can mean death. We have people that relapse that they just don't make it back.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we have to be more stringent and trying to get them to
a healthy place.
Right. We're trying to shoot to the moon with them.
Right.
And from the campus, from y'all's beds,
Mhm.
they move into a home at some
They
point?
can.
Or they can just go directly.
They can go to a community sober living home. They can kind of step up.
Okay.
Because we have lots of services at Haven, right? The people that we serve are the people that are way behind the starting line, right? Our people are not only often chronically homeless, they're generationally homeless.
Mm-hmm.
Never had a job, never had a bed of their own, right? That was just their existence growing up. And so we really have a lot of work to do oftentimes when they get to us. Someone who moves from treatment or incarceration or something to a community sober living home that has had more life experience is further along, right?
Okay.
They don't necessarily need everything else that's available there at Haven.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So
how did you get into this work in the first place?
I
as far back as you know.
yeah. So I grew up, I'm from Corpus originally. My parents divorced when I was really young. My dad was, had a significant alcohol challenge for many years. And, he went to Baylor for undergraduate, and then he went to Harvard for law school. And you ask him, what'd you learn at Baylor? Well, I learned how to drink. Well, what'd you learn at Harvard? Well, I learned how to use a glass. Right.
There you go.
Right. Back then, Waco was in a dry county.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So they had to drive to the county line. They didn't, they were just doing whatever. On the way back to campus, they couldn't take it back on campus, So, but, my dad grew up, pretty poor in rural South Texas. And education was kind of his way out. Mm-hmm. Right. And so he just studied and he read and he did all these things. So if you ask him, how did you get to Harvard? He said, well, I got there on the affirmative action program for Hicks. The further away you are, the better a chance you had to getting in. And he didn't set out to be a lawyer. He wanted to go to the University of Chicago and be a educator or something like that. But he didn't know that he needed to register for the GRE or, the other graduate test. And the LSAT was the only thing left. And so,
no way.
Yeah. So he scored so well on the LSAT that they scholarshiped him his first year at Harvard, and they 50% scholarship him his second and his third year. Right. Back then, it certainly wasn't as expensive,
right,
as it is now.
And
but
still,
classes.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so, So he's from Texas. He, eventually kind of navigated back down to Texas. He was clerking here during the summers. That's when he met my mom. They, they got married. He went to Korea. He got us, it was during Vietnam. He ended up in Korea instead of Vietnam. Came back, and then we all ended up back here in Texas. And then here I came, and then here my younger brothers came. And then by that time, my dad's drinking had accelerated pretty significantly. So they divorced, and he went to Austin. A couple years later, I followed him up there, ended up in Austin, and then I moved around. He stayed in Austin. My mom stayed in Corpus. My stepsisters, my brothers all kind of stayed where they were, and I bounced around from family member to family member because I was already struggling. I'd already experienced a lot of that. So as coming through teenage years and early adulthood, what I learned from my dad was how to cope, and that was to drink. Right. So I struggled with significant alcohol use for a long time.
From a young age.
Absolutely. So through that, and had periods of, abstinence or sobriety throughout my adult life. I had gotten sober when I was 20 and was really kind of pinging around from, little job to little job. And I had a guy that I ran into that was in recovery, and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I don't know." And he said, "Well, you need a job. You need a real job." I said, "Okay." He said, "This is my address. This is my business's address. I want you to show up for work on Monday morning." She ran a vending company. And so I went to work for this guy and worked for his vending company for 5 years. And that's where I learned how to run a business, right? You don't learn how to run a business any more basic than 1/4 at a time.
Right.
But I learned everything. I mean, I literally, I ran the whole thing by the time it was done. He was out doing whatever, business owners do that aren't at work. And I was running his company, So eventually I figured I could go do some other things and make some more money other places. And I did, and was successful. And then my alcoholism got in the way. And then I was successful. And then my alcoholism got in the way. Through my 30s, I had my own construction company, which was great, but my second marriage fell apart. And my alcoholism turned into a full-blown meth addiction at 40 years old. It was terrible, but it was fine. So the last year and a half before I found recovery, full-time long-term recovery, I lived on Austin Highway.
Obviously, your company.
Oh, yep.
It was, I believe, through the money.
Well, yeah. Went up in smoke, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally. Me and Richard Pryor. So I am our clients, right?
Were you on the streets, or were you like one of those seedy motels?
All of the above. All of the above. Yeah. Yeah. So, and it was terrible, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Right. Because that was the pathway that got me to where I found my purpose.
Right.
Right. And I get to serve and advocate.
Did you find?
Yeah.
Well, I was lucky enough to get back into treatment.
Okay.
So I was at the Walmart on Austin Highway at like 3:00 in the morning. I didn't have a phone. I didn't have nothing. No, but in the back of the Walmart, they sell computers. So I went and logged in to one of the computers and logged into the McDonald's Wi-Fi at the front of the Walmart, because all McDonald's had Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And I emailed Lifetime Recovery. And I had already been a client there, right? And I kind of knew them. Okay. And I emailed them and said, "I'm at the Austin Highway Walmart. I'm not leaving. Okay. I'm hungry. I'm going to eat food. Okay. And I'm just going to stay until either you guys come get me or SAPD kicks me out of here." Right. And I did. And I walked around the store for the next 3 or 4 hours. And then at 8:30 in the morning, William Hastings from Lifetime walked into Walmart, picked me up, and took me to treatment.
I remember, Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that began my recovery journey.
I had no idea.
Yeah. 12 years ago. So when I got out of Lifetime, I needed a job. And my dad was the senior partner of his law firm, and he needed a file clerk. I was barely employable, but I could put paper in a file. So I went to work for his law firm, and then I went out to UTSA and went through their paralegal program and became a paralegal. I didn't graduate high school, and I don't have a college degree. I've gone back, I got my GED a long time ago and have attempted some college, but I just went to work. right? So went out to UTSA, went to their program, and about that time, Pay It Forward was really struggling. And I was very active in the recovery community, especially the sober living community, because I had lived in an Oxford house when I first got sober. So Pay It Forward was looking for board members, and really nobody wanted to. Pay It Forward was in a pretty bad shape, right at that time. So I became a board member, and about a year in, we needed a new executive director. And my dad, who'd been divorced again, had dated Julie Wisdom-Wild. Yeah. And so I called Julie and I said, I need help. And she said, I'm not interested.
And she was at Alpha?
Yeah. Well, she'd already left Alpha. She'd been retired from Alpha for a couple of years.
Okay.
So, but and this was not on purpose, but I would run into her inadvertently at places we wouldn't normally run into each other in the community. And finally, she just turned around and she said, this is ridiculous. What do you want? She'll tell you I stalked her. Yeah. But I didn't. Yeah. And so she said, all right, I'll come take a look. And she came and took a look. And she said, all right, I'll do it. So I hired her and she started Tuesday after Labor Day in 2017. And we literally had $10,000 in the bank.
Oh, geez.
And she said, you didn't tell me we didn't have any money. I said, we didn't have any money. So we went to work and we had one employee and we had a dorm full of people, right? We were not writing scholarship checks.
Yeah.
We had, 60 people in the dorm and one part-time dorm person, literally, and an executive director. That was it. We went to work and we raised, by the end of the year, we had put about $175,000, $180,000 in the bank. And she said, I need a fundraiser. I need a development person. I said, well, good luck. She said, do you want it? I said, I don't know anything. She said, do you know how to ask for money? And I said, oh, there you go. I can do that. And so I left a nice, cushy law firm job, right?
Yeah.
To go ask for money. And then 8 months later, she had, a pretty major personal issue and she needed to leave. And so the board kind of looked around and said, you're it. You're next. And that's how I got here. Totally by accident. But I was scared enough to do the work.
Yeah.
Right. I went to the Area Foundation. I went to every class I could go to.
What year was that? I think I spent
so 2018.
2018. Okay.
So yeah.
Around the time I've been here a
couple years.
Yeah. I do remember you did show up to everything.
Yeah. I mean, if there was something, I was at it.
Yeah.
Did you join as a member? Because I think
Yeah.
you were the first one to join as a TNC member.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think Julie did that. Julie did that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
she
was a member at Alpha.
And she told me, she said TNC, she said AFP,
Area Foundation.
And the Area Foundation, because we needed access to that database.
Yeah.
Right. And and you had to be a member to be able to get in there and go do all the research and stuff. So we did that. And then all of a sudden, with no college degree, all of a sudden I had certificates, landing on my walls,
Mm-hmm.
10 of them or something, just damn, just one after another. So, we didn't have health insurance, right, or anything. And so I was able to go to a funder and say, look, we're now a staff of 5. I need health insurance because we're at Haven and I've got a really good team and they're going to take them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so, he wrote me a $30,000 check to pay for health insurance and to start a 401k for everybody that next year. And, then we stacked up. Then we went to 8 employees, and we went to 9 employees, and we went to 10 employees. And we started as a, $300,000 agency that survived literally on $250,000 that first year to where within 4 or 5 years, we're a $1.3 million agency.
That's amazing.
But the work increased, right? The impact, we just needed more people because the people were showing up, right? And we had to be staffed because the work was good.
Yeah.
I realized really early on, you don't do good work because you have a lot of money. You have a lot of money because you do good work, right?
Right.
And that was true.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of came. I told everybody, I said, we're not going to talk about money. We're going to talk about impact, and we're going to talk about programming, and we're going to talk about our clients' outcomes. And I bet that if all of those continue to improve, that our bank account's going to also.
Yeah.
Right.
And it did.
Sure.
Yeah.
Which didn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense, but it was, it was true.
Yeah. So how many staff do you have now?
We're back down to 8.
Mm.
We got a lot of money during COVID,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so some of that, we kind of pulled that back down. We're starting. I've only been back for 4 months.
Right.
We're gonna start growing again. We're working on a family program right now, to where there's not a place in Texas where a mom or a dad can keep their child while they're in treatment.
Really?
There's not. There's a couple where moms can keep their kids.
Yeah.
No place where a dad can keep their kids. And if this can prevent a removal, right, from CPS, bring them to us, right? So we're in talks with CPS right now about partnering with them. We have the perfect place at Haven. Haven does families already.
Right.
And they have all the necessary services. They just do it. Why not add substance use to that?
Yeah. Makes so much sense.
Right? It's really
That's
Would that be a part of some grant funding from them? I mean, if you're going to be working with CPS, would the state support that, or not really?
It doesn't pay very well.
No, yeah, I know that.
So really,
and
you can't double dip, right? You can't charge them and then charge somebody else, right? So we're looking at some seed funders right now, just so that we can have proof of concept, and get that going. The trauma, first these kids are traumatized because their parents are addicted, right? Then they're traumatized because they're removed, and then they're traumatized because they're reunified, right? All of the above. Yeah. How do we lessen that, right? And how can we try to change the effect that these children are experiencing through that whole process, right? I mean, like, me personally, I was 20 when my dad got sober, right? And it was terrible. I mean, it really was. And I say that, and he knows that. My dad's now 85 years old, and I'm his primary caregiver, right? We've healed.
Yeah.
We've been able to heal through that, but it took a very long time, right? How can we shorten that, right? How can we start to heal the family so that the children are not having to try to use their early adulthood, getting over their childhood, right? And have experiences like me and so many other people that just continue to struggle for so long,
Full circle.
Is that it?
Yeah.
And the stories?
No. And you said you back 4 months. Where did you go?
I went to Lifetime.
Okay.
Yeah, where I had gone to treatment.
Okay.
I became a VP at Lifetime for about 2 years and 9 months or something. And Lifetime's going through a lot of changes right now. They have a new CEO, which is John Hornsby.
Right.
Which is an amazing human being. If you haven't got to spend some time with him yet, he's phenomenal. He was the corporate chaplain for Zachary Corporation for the majority of his career.
Wow.
Right. And is just a solid individual. And so, in fact, him and I are playing golf on Friday, So, I knew how to run a business.
Right.
I didn't necessarily know how to run an agency. I learned how to run an agency at Lifetime.
Okay.
So I brought all that back to pay it forward.
I was going to ask.
So you saw that as an opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I didn't leave Pay It Forward initially to come back to Pay It Forward, but when the opportunity arose to come back with this new bucket of knowledge and really do something there that we started so many years ago, it was kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that y'all are taking a stab at doing the family.
Absolutely.
I had no idea that there was an option for people. That's really crazy to me.
There's one here in town, I think 5 or 6 moms. But the need is significant. I mean, I think in Texas, there was 29,000 removals last year through CPS, just substance use removals. And we can't solve it, but we can.
Well,
we
if you
can
have
figure it out.
Figure it out. If you're kind of the incubator for that idea and to grow it so that it becomes more commonplace and other,
When they talk about the foster system being so taxed and overburdened, well, let us see if we can take a stab at it from this direction.
Right.
And see if we can kind of keep the foster system from at least getting these kids for the time being. Right.
Yeah.
And try to heal the whole family together.
Good luck with that.
Thank you. I mean, it's exciting.
Yeah.
I love a challenge, especially when it's meaningful.
Yeah.
Especially, and I'll say this all the time. I had people advocating for me, always, always. There's a lot of people that don't have anybody to advocate for them,
And that makes a
and I take that
difference.
very seriously.
Yeah.
It's kind of like our scholarship program. When I moved into that Oxford house after I got a lifetime, my dad paid for my first couple of weeks. Right, he was my scholarship program.
Right.
Okay, people that come to us that apply to us, they don't have that.
Yeah.
Right, I want to be that
Right.
for them because it was. You hear people say, well, I got behind, right? It took me 2 weeks to get a job and 2 weeks to get a paycheck. Well, I was a month behind. It was overwhelming. So my best option was to leave and go back to where I came from. Right? How can we alleviate that?
Yeah.
You know,
Set them up.
absolutely. I mean, we get them 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
Okay, so that by the time they get a check, they're only a week behind. And at $175, you can do that in a paycheck.
Right.
Right.
Pretty easy.
Yeah.
Well, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing
So
your
I thought-
story.
Yeah, we appreciate you being a member too
Thank you.
of TNC and
Yeah.
your journey and sharing that with us.
Well, when I wasn't an executive director anymore, I missed you guys.
I know.
Likewise, I think we run into you once in a while, right?
Yeah,
I know.
And we did go visit you at Lifetime.
you did.
And that's an incredible agency as well. I'm glad that you got to learn a lot to bring that back to moving
Yeah.
forward.
It was like another education. It really
Yeah.
was.
I bet it's a huge agency.
Very grateful for that.
Yeah. Well, good.
Right.
Well,
Good luck
Thank you.
moving forward and, with the state work and all that.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me.
One other question.
For sure.
A lot of partners in Haven
Uh-huh.
are there. I know a few that are running beds or looking for external. Is that something y'all, do you see yourselves just being an integrated part of Haven for Hope?
We are integrated, and probably our
Can you grow the need?
no,
No.
because people talk a lot of smack about it, right? It's controversial, right? You deal with a very fragile population, right? It's complex.
Oh yeah.
It's always going to raise kind of a stink, just because of the nature of the people that you're serving, But Haven works. You know why Haven works? Because Haven is full all the time. So space is a premium.
Right.
Very lucky to have the 76 beds that we have there. To expand inside of Haven, no.
Yeah.
We can't. But can we expand around Haven? Absolutely. Absolutely. And we if we could do our part to facilitate some new construction or something around there to where we could expand our programs there and still partner with Haven, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'd love to do that. Thrive is probably our closest other residential partner at Haven.
Mm-hmm.
They move people through faster. They have kind of they don't call it a pod, but it's kind of a pod where they do their outreach. They find someone that's 18 to 24 LGBTQ who's homeless.
Right.
They get them to be willing to accept services. They get them to Haven, and it's kind of a triage. They get them here, they get them established on campus, and then they get them into housing very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very quickly.
Right. And keeping those wraparound services
absolutely
going.
That's the deal.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you take someone who's struggling and put them in an apartment or a house by themselves, they're going to struggle in the house.
Yeah.
Right. They're stuck. And then guess what? Then they lose the place that they are living because they don't have the tools necessary to be able to successfully exist in that space without the necessary support. None of us are successful on our own, especially the people who have struggled so significantly. Right. There are other people who just have some more wherewithal. We do not. We need the help.
Yeah.
Including me. There's nothing I've experienced or succeeded in that wasn't the fault of somebody else. Literally.
Right.
Right. I just was willing to follow directions. That's it. Right. I have no original material. None. And no good ideas. My good ideas are me up on the street.
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be humble or,
No.
self-deprecating or anything, but literally, I had to attach myself to people who were doing the things that I wanted to do. Just didn't know how.
Right.
Right. But I was willing to do it.
And that's the important part.
Had to suffer enough.
And learning
Yeah.
as you went.
That's right.
Well, Hamilton, thank you again.
Thank y'all.
We appreciate you being here. And
Y'all the best.
So thanks for joining us for another episode of TNC Talks Nonprofit. If you enjoy these episodes and would like to support us through a sponsorship, please reach out. We're always available. And again, we thank you for listening or viewing. And you can view us on this new streaming service called The Nonprofit Network, available to you also. Search for that and you can watch the episodes and enjoy seeing all of our faces as opposed to our voices. So thanks again for joining. I'm excited to share with you some news that our podcast is now available to watch exclusively on Roku and Amazon Fire. Check it out on the Nonprofit Network.